You're watching NBA Now by Chat Sports. I'm your host, Chase Senior. Pleasure to be with you. We appreciate you making Chat Sports and NBA Now part of your day. Give me a follow on Twitter and Instagram at Chase_Senior. Here's what we have coming up on today's show. We're getting into the latest on Ben Simmons because Shams Charania has new reporting on the Simmons front. Is Paul Millsap going to sign with the Chicago Bulls? Bulls have been extremely busy throughout free agency. Millsap could be yet another addition. We have some trade details to hit on Lauri Markkanen because over the weekend he got sent to the Cleveland Cavaliers. And could DeAndre Jordan be out of Brooklyn, and could he maybe go to the Los Angeles Lakers like the Chicago Bulls, a very busy team throughout this offseason? First, make sure you subscribe to us here at Chat Sports. We are inching closer and closer to 270,000 subscribers, and we bring you the latest NBA news, rumors, live shows, all throughout the entire year. So hit that red subscribe button down below or go to youtube.com/chatsportstv. Let's get into the latest on the Ben Simmons rumors front because Shams Charania of The Athletic and Stadium did report on Monday that all signs point to Ben Simmons getting dealt. The big question, when is a Simmons trade going to happen and when is it all going to go down? Let's get into the latest on Ben Simmons. So according to Shams, the Sixers opened up these Ben Simmons trade talks back in July, but no deal has come close because no teams have met Philadelphia's asking price. As for the teams who have shown a lot of interest in Simmons, a first-team defender, multi-time All-Star, Minnesota Timberwolves and the Toronto Raptors, the two clubs who have shown the most interest in Simmons. Now, Philly has set a high price threshold. That's been reported numerous times. It was reported again by Shams Charania, and that high asking price does remain very, very high because Ben Simmons is a very capable and very good player on both ends of the floor. Shams also said that all signs point to Simmons' career in Philly coming to a close. Now, Ben Simmons is certainly a mercurial superstar because he's done a lot of good in his career, but the playoff flameouts have certainly cost him and his value as well as his team. Let's get to the good with Ben Simmons. First team all-defender. I thought he was the best defender in the league this past year. Should have won Defensive Player of the Year over Rudy Gobert, who only stays around the rim and covers one position, whereas Ben Simmons covers positions 1 through 5. Ben Simmons is also a fantastic athlete who can make a bunch of things happen at 6'11", 240. When you watch him operate in the open floor, you marvel at what he's able to do, especially with his vision, because his court vision is certainly elite. And while he doesn't shoot shots from the outside, he certainly creates shots for his teammates, which is a huge plus and a huge advantage on the offensive end of the floor. And in the open floor, Ben Simmons excels to a level that Magic Johnson once did. But the shooting has held Ben Simmons back, and that's why he's such a liability offensively. And he was a massive liability in that second-round series against the Atlanta Hawks when he really cost the Sixers late in games, really in all fourth quarters in that 7-game series against Atlanta. He hasn't improved offensively one iota and hasn't really shown a willingness to get better on that end of the floor. And at the free throw line for your point guard to shoot 34.2%, it's just not good enough. And over time, it's become more and more apparent that the Joel Embiid, Ben Simmons fit just doesn't work, and it's not sustainable for making deep runs into the playoffs. Here's what Shams had to say about Ben Simmons and a situation with Philadelphia right now, because we're continuing to update you with the latest reporting. This is one of the biggest storylines across the NBA this offseason. Simmons was almost moved to the Rockets along with Matisse Thybulle and 2 first-round picks in the James Harden negotiations. But Houston traded Harden to the Brooklyn Nets, with previous trade talks coming so close to moving Simmons out of Philadelphia, coupled with the comments of Joel Embiid and Doc Rivers to end the 76ers season, that the writing appears to be on the wall. The Timberwolves have been motivated to find a deal for Simmons, but would likely require a third team given their asset pool of Malik Beasley, Jaden McDaniels, and D'Angelo Russell, which might not entice the Sixers. He rounded this out by saying this: Philadelphia has its eyes on all-NBA guard Damian Lillard, sources say, but the Blazers have fully focused on continuing to build around Lillard. As of now, Lillard is continuing to evaluate the Blazers' present and future and is slated to begin training camp with the team. Philly is stuck between deciding whether to make a move now with Simmons or waiting until a star like Lillard shakes free. I'm not sure that the relationship between Simmons and Philadelphia is salvageable because it has gotten so bad and so contentious over time, especially throughout this offseason. You had Doc Rivers, Joel Embiid throwing him under the bus, and rightfully so, because the Sixers had a golden opportunity at hand to make a deep run into the playoffs and to at least make it to the Eastern Conference Finals. If Ben Simmons wasn't allergic to shooting the rock, maybe they could have made a deeper run into the playoffs and possibly hoisted their first championship since the early 1980s when Dr. J was throwing down dunks. So do you think Simmons can come back to Philly? Do you think this relationship is indeed salvageable? Let me know in the comments section right now. Type Y for yes, type N for no. Get your votes in. If you're new to us here at Chat Sports, we're a very interactive YouTube channel. We love allowing you to be a part of our shows. This is your opportunity to do that right now. NBA training camp kicks off or tips off late in September, so that means the NBA regular season is right around the corner, which is crazy because the NBA Finals just wrapped up, free agency has waned, the NBA draft was a blast here on Chat Sports, so what better way to prepare for the upcoming season than to cop a new hat for your favorite NBA team? And there are hats for all 30 teams in the NBA right now on sale if you go to chatsports.com/chat hats. That link is in the description of this video as well as in the comment section as we do this during our live show on Monday. So cop yourself some new gear and a new hat for your favorite NBA team right now thanks to our friends at Fanatics by going to chatsports.com/chat hats. There was a trade that went down over the weekend, and a pretty significant one. Lauri Markkanen getting traded to the Cleveland Cavaliers from the Chicago Bulls, and coming up in just a second, we're going to get into the grittiest details that Shams Charania had to report on as far as this Markkanen deal. Let's break this trade down really quickly, though, because the Cavaliers bring in Markkanen, who's still in his early to mid-20s, a very good stretch big man who can knock down some threes and bring you a lot when he's healthy. The Blazers got a really good piece in Larry Nance Jr., who I think is going to be able to bring a lot of versatility to Portland. The Bulls got a protected second-round pick in addition to Derrick Jones Jr., who's a nice bench piece as a rotational type of player, and a protected first-round pick as well. But the details as far as Markkanen's contract extension have been made official. And Lauri Markkanen with Cleveland is going to be signing a 4-year deal worth $67.5 million, which is a steep price for a guy like Lauri Markkanen. But the former top 10 pick has shown when he's healthy, he can certainly ball out. Here's what Shams Charania had to say about Markkanen going to Cleveland. Chicago had sign and trade interest for Markkanen from the following teams according to sources: Dallas Mavericks, New Orleans Pelicans, Cleveland Cavaliers, Minnesota Timberwolves, San Antonio Spurs, Sacramento Kings, as well as the Boston Celtics, interestingly enough. The Bulls had driven a hard bargain, refusing trade offers, and eventually being hung up on a second-round pick from Cleveland, sources said. So at the end of the day, Markkanen ends up in Cleveland. And I think the Cavaliers have had a sneaky good offseason. They've done some really good things. I really like the drafting of Evan Mobley, who I think has the potential to be one of, if not the best players in this 2021 NBA draft class. But look at the young core that Cleveland has assembled. Colin Sexton, a very good and dynamic guard. Darius Garland can also put the biscuit in the basket. Lauri Markkanen is a very solid stretch big man who can play both forward and center depending on the matchup. Really like Evan Mobley, as I mentioned, he can guard positions 1 through 5, and then you gave Jarrett Allen that $100 million contract for him to be the anchor down low. And I mentioned all of these names without mentioning Isaac Okoro. So I like what the Cavaliers have done. Because of what they've done, do you think they can make the playoffs next year after the acquisition of Markkanen, especially signing him to that monster contract extension? Type 1 for yes, type 2 for no. Get those votes in right now in the comment section. As far as Paul Millsap, a lot of teams continue to be interested in a guy who made consecutive All-Star appearances from 2014 to 2017. And even though he's 35 years old right now and last year averaged the least points per game that he's averaged over the last 6 or 7 seasons, this is a veteran player who can add a lot to a championship contender. And according to multiple reports out there, there are teams who are interested in Millsap, and it's not a surprise to see all of those teams as playoff future teams. The Nets, Warriors, Clippers, and Bulls all said to be pursuing Millsap. And I think he's a capable and versatile forward who can do a lot of different things, both offensively and defensively, and he still has some gas left in the tank. As for what he did last year on a very solid Denver Nuggets team, 9 points per game, little less than 5 rebounds, shot a very efficient 47.5% from the deck. 34% from three is just okay, but he wasn't getting a ton of volume in terms of shots from the outside, but he was a very good player who started a bunch of games for Denver, but also came in off the bench, and I think he'd be able to do it for any of these four teams who are about to pop up on your screen right now. So where do you think Millsap fits best among the teams who are most interested in him right now as we sit here on Monday, August 30th? Is it the Brooklyn Nets, type BKN? Is it the Los Angeles Clippers, type LAC? How about the Golden State Warriors? They've long been interested in Millsap. If so, type GSW, or if it's the Bulls, type CHI. From Paul Millsap to another longtime veteran, DeAndre Jordan. Looks as though his time in Brooklyn is going to come to an end. Him and the Brooklyn Nets, according to Shams, are going to reach a contract buyout. As for the teams interested in Jordan, a couple around the NBA. The most notable, the Los Angeles Lakers. Shams on Jordan saying this: center DeAndre Jordan and the Nets are working toward parting ways via contract buyout, sources tell me and Alex Schiffer. Jordan is increasingly unlikely to be part of the organization moving forward, but the sides have not made a final decision. Jordan did not appear in the Nets' last 16 games of last season, as well as in the playoffs. So while nothing is official just yet, I thought it became pretty apparent that the Nets were going to move on from Jordan when he got DNP'd in the latter portion of the season as well as in the playoffs, because he's somewhat of a liability at this point of his career because he's a limited big man. As for what he did last year and what he might be able to bring to a team that he goes to next, he's certainly not the high-flying athlete who was coming off pick and rolls, throwing down highlight dunks with CP3, Blake Griffin, and the Los Angeles Clippers several years ago. But if you're looking for an energetic big who's experienced, who can rebound, defend, block shots, and finish effectively around the rim, that's what Jordan can do. 7.5 points, 7.5 rebounds last year, and shot 76% from the floor. So from an efficiency side of things, he can still get it done. You just don't want to play DeAndre Jordan like 20 minutes per night unless you're a bad team having him on the roster. As I mentioned, this is something to monitor, and we'll continue to cover it here on our Lakers channel, youtube.com/LakersTV. We already did a video on the Lakers signing Rajon Rondo and having interest in Jordan, but Lakers are said to have interest in Jordan to fortify their front court with their depth after Dwight Howard as well as Marc Gasol, so we'll see what happens on that front as well. Do you think DJ has anything left? Type G for you think he's gas. Type L for I think he's got a little some. Let me know about DeAndre Jordan and his future playing days down in the comment section right now.